Hello my fellow gamers, and this is Shadow from Shadow Online Gaming, bringing you part 2 of the Lizardmen full roster breakdown and review, where we're going to be going over, now we've done the magic, we're going to go over the lords and the heroes, and these guys have quite a few of them. So we're going to be quite busy in this episode, it's going to be a long one, so let's jump straight into it, and start with the good old source Old Blood. He comes, I always have to remember to do this, no items, none of that. Don't want any of that. We want him basic. So he is basic 1,100 points. He's armoured and shielded, has armour piercing and predatory sensors. Which I assume that means he's got a better detection range, I assume, around them. Maybe it's down here. Is that it? Nope. No, that's cold-blooded. So as you see, they come shielded, so block 35%. Got armour piercing. They have a missile resistance of 15, encourage, hide and forest, and cold-blooded. So those that don't know what cold-blooded is, it's a character ability which regens pretty much. You can either target yourself or an ally within 200 meters. It lasts for 23 seconds. It replenishes hit points, but this is the catch. It lowers the speed by 24%. It lowers melee defense by 27 and melee attack by 26. So yeah, it's kind of, you want to get them out the way, do that ability, get them, and then get them back in. But while they're doing that, they could be really, really vulnerable. So what mounts can he take? He can take a code one for 200, or a Carnosaur for 900. Nice. And that, I'm just looking at what it actually does. So like, that one causes fear. Well, that one causes fear and terror, makes him a siege attacker, and gives him frenzy. Nice. So, abilities then. He's got Foe Seeker for 80 and Stand Your Ground for 162, so quite standard actually, quite standard for Commander. He's got the Amulet of Its, I'm assuming that's it, which is a ward save that lasts 21 seconds, and it can only be used once though, for 82. There you go, so that's a one-shot thing, but it raises your damage resistance by 66%, so you kind of do that when you're getting swamped and you need to get out of there. You then also have the Horn of Kelgar, which is every 90 seconds you can use it. It affects yourself and allies around you for 18 seconds. Anyone within 40 meters, and it gives a buff to charge bonus, so 18%, 25 melee attack, and 8 leadership. So that's really good, especially if you've got him on a cold one and you've got a load of cavalry charger. You do that just as you're about to hit, and it will, yeah, really buff up the amount of damage it will do. And that's 164, so I would say that's quite, I mean the leadership buff as well, to be fair, is quite good. 8 leadership, and then if you add the Stand Your Ground, which adds 16 leadership, you do the maths. So, Source O Blood. Next we'll do the one with the special characters, Krogar himself. Let's get rid of all his fancy stuff. Yep. So Krogar basic comes at 1,300, which isn't that expensive actually when you think like the other Source O Blood with his abilities is 1,338. He's armoured, armour piercing, anti-large, and predatory sensors. He's obviously got, I think, pretty much the exact same thing as the other guy did. He can get a cold one for 200, a horned one for 300, or his own Carnosaur Grimlog, I believe it is, for 900. Very powerful guy. I think very similar, but probably just more powerful than the normal Carnosaur. His abilities, he can have the Sacred Spawning of that guy. Yes, Sacred Spawning, which buffs himself for 22 seconds and gives him physical resistance of 22% and vigor for 18%. He's also got the good old classic Deadly Onslaught for 158. Did I mention how much that was? 80, yeah. And he's also got the Swiftness of Its, which is 152. And it's like the Scavian one, it's an explosion that doesn't hurt your allies, but it pushes your enemies away and ups your speed by 36%, so you can get out of there. What would that be perfect for? Do that, get out of a fight, then use your cold-blooded ability to heal yourself back up while you're kind of running away and they can't get to you. The only item he's got available is the Hand of Gods, which is a magic missile which can hit enemies from 250 meters away. Costs 246 to equip him. You can only use it twice, and it's a recharge speed of 135 seconds. It causes magical damage. It's strong versus a single combatant. It's good from a high angle. Now I'm hoping the Carnosaur counts as a high angle. And it's good against large combatants, but it's got poor penetration. So there you go for him. We then have the Slam Priest of High Magic, Light Magic, and Heavens. So if I'm correct, these are going to be very similar. Let's just get rid of all the spells, all the abilities. So 550 basic. He's a spellcaster. As you can see, he's got magical attacks. Makes sense. Missile resistance 15%. Strider, which makes sense because he's hovering and cold. Now I'm quite surprised he does not come with a default basic magic resistance. Surely even if it's just like 5 or 10%, something to give him that little protection against it. Seems very odd. Anyway, so for 80, you can give him the Shield of Sapphire, which is the map route wide ability. Whenever you're casting, all you and everyone in your army gets 11% damage resistance. And as you can imagine, this guy's going to be casting a lot, so that's pretty good. He can also, for 242, get the Greater Arcane Conduct. For 156, the Shield of the Old Ones, which is a ward save, which can affect him and anyone within 150 meters. You can target on the area in the ground. So we don't have to. You could use it on the front line, sort of thing. 44% magic resistance and 8+ leadership, which is quite good. If you could see that one flank of yours is buckling because of leadership, you could quickly use that just to use the 8+ leadership. I mean, 150 meters is quite a distance. Yeah, and its effective range of 40 meters. Okay, then. And the final ability he has is Banishment, which is obviously the spell Banishment, I believe. But they have it as a bound spell, which lasts 18 seconds, can target anyone within 150 meters, costs 245 gold. And yeah, so as you can see, causes magical damage, disrupts enemy formation, large moving area of effect, and great against multiple units. So that's its abilities. Now, I believe for these guys, yep, so their lore is obviously just nothing special, it's just the normal lore. So the Heathen Worm for 78, the Hand of Glory 82, Sequence 161, Tempest 165, Arcane Unfortune 242, and Furry Convocation 237. And then finally we go to the items, which is a Blood Statuette of Spite, which is a direct damage, which lasts 14 seconds. You can target an enemy within 100 meters, and it just causes damage. For 78, you can use it 4 times, and the recharge is 45 seconds. You've then got the Awe of Quits, which is it targets itself, and it can raise melee defense by 27 and armor by 30. So that'd be very good. For 160, that's quite good for, I'm being, like, let's say you're moving up and you're getting attacked, but you get surrounded actually with the melee defense, or you could just do it to up your armor if you're getting taken out by ranged units as well. But that'd be good if you get surrounded suddenly or ambushed, you can use that. So if I'm correct, this would be exactly the same, 550 basic, am I right? Yes, I am. So they're all going to be 550 basic. They've all got the exact same stats in that, I believe. It is purely what Wind of Magic they're using. Of course, the normal ability, the default one, will be slightly different because of the lore. So the Law of Light has Exorcism, which is -8 leadership to Undead, pretty much, whenever you're casting. Of course, we already know all that. The spells, their cost, Fast Protection is 82. The Sam's Burning Gaze is 85. The Light Bow 160. The Net of Amatok is 161. Banishment is 245. So yeah, and bonus Time Warp is 236. So if I'm right, that does a banishment for 245. You can then get that for 245 as a spell. So there you go. This guy could have 2 banishments and just go boom boom next to each other in the main line. That, I would like to see that. Someone do that. This guy then, his ability is Rolling Skies. So it's constant. It's active when casting and only affects flying. But what it does is for 25 seconds, their speed is lowered by 24% and their melee defense is lowered by 22%. So not great, but I guess maybe against Bretonia, Pegasus Knight. There's other Lizardmen of the flyers as well. Definitely be worth it. Spells. He's got the Harmonic Convergence. I haven't done Tectum. Sorry about that. Yep, so the convergence for 66. He's got the Wind Blast for 64. The Curse of Midnight Wind for 135. Uranian's Thunderbolt 134. Comet of Conquistador 220. And Chain Lightning at 221. Like I said, these are pretty much all identical, so let's just skip through it. So, Master Mundi. He's got to take a little bit of time because he's got all sorts of special stuff. So, 600 basics, so he's only 50 more. But then again, that's because, what else did he go? He's immune to psychology because he just doesn't care. Apart from that, he's pretty much the same. So, he can take on Zlak, which is his own Stegodon, for 1,200. And, okay, yep, so if you have that, it makes him a siege attacker, causes fear and causes terror. And can fire while moving. I assume that's the crew can fire while they're moving. Always good to have. Abilities, he's got the Rolling Skies ability for 80. The Greater Arcane Conduct for 242. He can have the Shield of the Old Ones for 156. Banishment for 245. And the Ruination of Cities, everyone's favourite. So it's a wind spell. Can target anyone with it, an enemy within... Well, no, it's the ground. Target the ground for within 150 metres. Causing magical damage, 3 damage, rifts spreading outward, strong versus multiple units, but it can only be used twice. Something I don't think a lot of people mention. You can only use it twice in a battle, and the recharge is 135, and the cost is 253. That I think everyone's loved it, so definitely worth it. Now spells, we'll go over this way, because he's got his own spells. So for his basic spell, Law of High Magic is the healing one. Then he's got the Net of Antioch from Law of Light. The Harmonic Convergence from the Law of Heavens. The Comet of Conquistador from the Law of Heavens. The Curse of Midnight Wind from the Law of Heavens. Okay, he likes the Heavens. And the Arcane Unforging from the Law of High Magic. How much does all that cost him? Well, the Net of Antioch is 161. The Harmonic Convergence is 82. The Curse of Midnight Wind is 162. The Comet of Conquistador is 254. The Apotheosis is 78. And the Arcane Unforging is 242. So he's got some really nice spells there. I was just thinking, Net of Antioch, then Banishment. Would that not be amazing? Or the Net of Antioch, and then the Ruination of Cities. That would be amazing. Just when they're blobbed up and they don't realise, and then you just go, nah, you can't move. I'll just drop Banishment and the Ruination of Cities on you. You could do both, actually, because they're abilities. So as long as they're both charged. And items, he's got the Sunburst Standard of Hexactar. Yeah. It's a constant that affects him and allies in range of 40 meters. And it gives him a missile resistance of 12% and a melee defense of 9. And that costs 239 gold. So there we go. That's all our lords done. Let's get the heroes on. So, the two skinks... Let's just get them to their basics, because I suspect they are just going to be identical, I would have thought. But I like to be sure before saying so. So let's get all this gone. So yeah, as expected, both Skink Priests are 250. Spellcast Aquatic. They've got Missile Resistance of 15 and Courage, Hide, and Cold-Blooded. So, I assume these are pretty much identical. Let's just check. Items. Yeah, I believe so. It's just going to be their abilities and their spells because of the law they follow. So, they both can get Pterodon for 250. Stegodon for 1,650. Fair enough. I assume that's going to have a whole crew and everything. Or an Ancient Stegodon for 1,950 for their Penneck. Probably worth it. You've then got abilities. The Wild... the Skin Priest of Beast has the Wild Heart, which increases power reserves and power recharge for 29 seconds. And that's constant. For 80 gold. You just constantly have that. That's brilliant. Well, his ability is the Rolling Skies again for 80. Probably not great. Spells, obviously the Law Beast. So he's got Watson Wild Form for 79. Flock of Doom for 76. The Amber Spear for 157, Pan's Impenetrable Pelt for 160, the Curse of Anohur for 238, and a Transformation of Cardon for 246. Which I just realised that's the Spawns of Manticore, isn't it? Awesome. And items they can both get is the Curse Charm of Tipok, which is a constant and affects enemies within 55 meters, where makes them have a 25% miscast chance for 80. And the Cube of Darkness, so it's the ultimate Rubik's Cube, we assume, which it affects for 18 seconds. It's a Hex of Winds. Affects enemies within 100 meters and greatly reduce the power recharge rate. So those are purely to stop them getting spells. So we can get rid of him. So we got his ability of the Rolling Skies. Spells, probably exactly the same. Harmonic Convergence for 82. Wind Blast for 79. Curse of the Midnight Wind for 162. Uranian's Thunderbolt for 160. Common of Casadora for 254. And the Chain Lightning for 255. So let's get to the interesting thing. The Skink Chief. Why am I doing that? Wrong button. There we go. Right. So, the Skink Chief, basic, 450 points. He has poison attacks, aquatic, and fire whilst moving, which is always good. He can take a Pterodon for 300, a Stegodon for 450, or an Ancient Stegodon for 1,750. His ability is Slippery, which is interesting. For 80, it affects himself for 27 seconds. His melee defense goes up to by 27, and his speed goes up by 24%. And items he can take is the War Drum of that place. It's constant. It affects him and allies within 40 meters. Disengages if he's engaged in combat, because you can't really bash a drum when you're doing that. But leadership is up by 4, charge bonus is up by 4%, and speed is up by 60%. So if you want that, that'll be 83 gold. And he's got the Potion of Foolhardiness for 77 gold, where for 27 seconds he gets a charge bonus of 36% and is unbreakable, which is probably quite good. And finally, the Saurus Scourge Veteran, so the only Saurus hero you can get, actually. Everything else is a skink. So, he's armoured and shielded, anti-large, charge bonus against large foes, and predatory defences. He's got a missile resistance 15, charge percent, yeah, the cold-blooded, and I haven't done his abilities, there we go. So he costs 800 basic. You can put him on a code 1 for 300 or a Carnosaur for 1,100. For 80 you can have Foe Seeker, and for 158 you can have Deadly Onslaught. And the items, Potion of Strength, where for 80 gold and 31 seconds his armor piercing damage and weapon damage goes up by 40%. So that would be probably worth it. That'll probably be worth it. And the Plaque of Dominion, which is every 45 seconds you can set it off where it affects enemies within 30 meters. It lasts for 20 seconds and it lowers their leadership by 8, and that's 79 gold. So that's quite powerful. You know, if you're pushing on one flank or in the center and you just drop that, as their leadership starts dropping, you drop that and they just plummet, could be very deadly. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen and my fellow gamers. This is the Lords and Heroes of the Lizardmen breakdown. If you'd like to join me for the next episode, where we'll be going over the infantry, which will be quite interesting for the Lizardmen, and obviously check out my other playlist as well, where I'm covering the High Elves, the Skaven, and the Dark Elves. I nearly forgot that then. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up with all updates, battle replays, and tournaments, leagues that I do. As well as I'm going to do a lot more themed battles, being we've got a lot more options now. So yes, going to have themed armies and themed battles coming up. Thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Till then, take care.